Hello and welcome to another video. It seems like so long since I flew British Airways long haul, and today I'm flying them in business class, their Club World. It's my long-awaited A350 extra wide body Club World Suites review, and I hope you enjoy the video. Today's journey starts in Inverness, Scotland. If you depart from Inverness or any Highlands and Islands airport in Scotland, then you don't have to pay air passenger duty. This means that the fare you pay may be a bit lower and you get an extra leg on your flight to collect those all-important tier points and avios. If the weather's right, you'll also get a lovely approach into London. Terminal 5 is not known for its great transfer experience, but thankfully if you're arriving from a domestic flight it's much easier. There's no need to re-clear security and you're spat straight back out into the terminal. Terminal 5 is a great place to watch British Airways aircraft. They have an almost monopoly on the entire terminal. Unfortunately, their Spanish cousins Iberia turn up with a handful of flights a day just to spoil that uniformity. There are 5 lounges in Terminal 5. In Terminal 5A, the main building, you will find 4 of them. There's the Concorde room for British Airways first class passengers, the strangely named First Class Lounge, which is really just for gold card holders, and upstairs you'll find the British Airways Galleries Club Lounge, which is for passengers with no status in business class. Pro tip, if you're arriving in the morning, the shower complex is bound to be busy. Make sure you swing by as early as possible to pick up a pager and reserve your appointment before heading upstairs into the Galleries Club Lounge. Thank you. The Galleries lounges are so called because they house a large collection of art, such as this famous horse statue with a lamp on its head. There's also a large model of the British Airways A380, which is not quite anatomically correct. Let me know if you spot the error in the comments below. Finally, there's this installation by the artist Troika called Cloud. Now, it's supposed to shimmer, but it hasn't been working for a number of years. Anyway, that's enough British self-deprecation for now. The Galleries Club Lounge is actually not bad when you compare it with a lot of the competition out there. There's always something hot to eat at the buffet, and there's a decent selection of food and drink elsewhere in the lounge. The lounge also has half-decent coffee, fast Wi-Fi, and if you're lucky enough to get a seat by the sides of the lounge, you'll get a decent view over the apron and runway. Oh, and those shower suites only had to wait 20 minutes in the end, which isn't too bad. They're fairly basic, but they get the job done. Let me share with you my favourite Heathrow hack. Nearly all of the long-haul flights from Terminal 5 depart from the satellite terminals B and C, and to get there normally you take a transit train which is underneath the tarmac and runs every few minutes. However, this transit train can be really busy, so what I usually do is I usually stay on the lift. I go down to level -4 and down to the staff walkway. There's pretty much no one down here, and most of the distance is covered by a moving walkway anyway, and it's a much nicer and more reliable way, in fact, to get to your destination terminal. Sometimes you have to wait for a transit to go, and it's just generally a lot more chilled out. 2019 has been a special year for BA. It's celebrated 100 years of operation by painting some aircraft in special retro liveries, and is taking the opportunity to renew its fleet. BA's long-haul fleet is increasingly ageing. The airline is reliant on its 747 and 777 fleets to carry the backbone of their long-haul operation. A recent investment in 787 Dreamliners helped bring down the average age of the fleet, but many headline routes are still operated by veteran 747s like this. Of all the BA aircraft types you can spot at Heathrow, the A350-1000 is the newest, delivered this summer, and represents a big investment in British Airways customer experience. The airline made 2 significant decisions with the coming of the A350. Firstly, they chose the A350 to debut the new Club World suite, and secondly, they also decided not to install first class. At the time of release, BA has also installed the new Club World suite on selected 777-200 aircraft and retained, but reduced, the size of the first class cabins on those aircraft.
Thank you very much. Welcome back with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a long aircraft. There are 56 Club World suites on board. 12 are in a small mini cabin behind the second door, as you can see here, and the remaining 44 are in the front cabin towards the nose. My seat for today's transatlantic crossing, 10K, which comes with 2 windows and a great view of the wing and engine. My first impressions of the cabin were positive. The subdued colour palette was corporate but classy, and the overhead bins on these aircraft are large. They'll take any cabin bag with ease. There are also bins above the centre aisle which are practical but reduce the sense of space. Just look at Qatar's A350, which I'll feature in a future video to see what I mean. It had been a while since I'd flown BA on long haul. I was pleased to see they'd massively improved the pillow and bedding available. The old stuff was just not up to scratch. Today's video is sponsored by Curve. What is Curve? It looks like a credit card, but it isn't. Hear me out. Curve acts as a payment card. There's no credit involved. For all of your credit and debit cards, you associate the cards to Curve in the app and use this very fancy metal card to pay instead of your normal card. Every time you pay, you can select which account you want the purchase to come from. Now, there are loads of good reasons why you should do this, but my favourite perk is the waiving of foreign exchange fees. As many of you know, I've been travelling for the last 3 weeks, and over that time visiting the Netherlands, Finland, Qatar, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Indonesia and Oman, I've saved nearly £80 just in foreign exchange fees. You might have seen other YouTubers mention this product a few months ago. Curved approached me at the same time, and I've waited to try it for myself to make sure it's something I really want to tell you about. There are other benefits too. You only need to remember to carry 1 card instead of half a dozen. There's gadget and travel insurance when you sign up for Curve Black or Curve Metal, and there's 1% cashback on some of your most common purchases, which goes into a handy cash wallet. There's also Lounge Key lounge access with Curve Metal. Use code WING5 when you sign up for Curve Metal to claim a free £5 into your Curve cash account, and start saving today. After takeoff, the first order of business was to check out the onboard Wi-Fi. However, it was really expensive. I later found out that because this A350 had been servicing short-haul routes to Madrid, for some reason the short-haul internet payment plans were still in place on this aircraft. I did buy one of the payment plans and got about an hour's worth of use out of it, but I was subsequently refunded by BA. Anyway, the service on board started promptly, and I had some nuts and a cocktail before exploring the features of the seat. This is a modified Collins Aerospace Diamond seat. The storage options are great, among the best you'll find in any business class, and I found it way more practical than Virgin's new A350 seat. There are also 2 USB outlets and a universal charge socket, and a remote for controlling the in-flight entertainment screen. Finally, the most hyped feature of the seat, the door. Now, this can be closed, 98% of the way anyway, but trust me when I say it's a gimmick. A person of average height like me can easily see over the top, and it doesn't really feel truly enclosed like Qatar's Q-Suite. On a service-intensive flight like Toronto, where cabin crew are constantly coming to your seat to bring food and drink, closing the door makes no sense as you need to open it for service. I saw very few passengers use the facility on this day flight. The seat is fully customisable all the way down to a flat bed, but costs have been cut by not installing individual air vents. Nonetheless, despite reading other reviews that the seat felt flimsy to some people, I found it sturdy, and I think it'll last longer than Virgin's before needing refreshing. The tray table is a good size and will take even a big laptop easily. You can move it away when there's something on it too, which means you can leave your seat during meal times. British Airways and Virgin couldn't have 2 more different cabins. Personal taste, I prefer Virgin's, but BA still looks pretty sleek, I think. Another area British Airways have invested in since I last flew Club World is in the food on board, so I was excited to look at the menu. You can normally pre-order meal choices online, but that function was disabled for this flight, I assume because this creates additional workflow for the staff who are learning this aircraft. The quality of the food was good. The salmon starter was super fresh, and the beef main course was also tasty, even if it did come with a little too much pepper sauce. Service speed, however, was disastrous, and we were past Greenland, nearly 4 hours into the flight, and I still hadn't had my dessert. This was the first week BA had sold out the club cabin, and the crew was struggling to meet demand. When my dessert came, it was again very tasty, but it was also ridiculously tiny, and it did smack a little bit of pointless cost-cutting on the part of British Airways. One area the airline has always done well in is the selection of in-flight entertainment. There's a huge choice, and several episodes of modern cult classic Derry Girls was available. Now, you may need a wee bit of professional help to pick up the accent, so stick on those subtitles. The seat easily converts to bed mode. The blanket and pillow are substantial, although the mattress topper doesn't look like it fits properly. With the door closed, I guess the suite's cosy enough, but stick your eye mask on and you won't know the difference anyway, right? I managed to get a nap for about an hour before waking up and finding myself over Canada. The food service in all cabins had only just finished by this point. The cabin crew recognised me, and the senior cabin crew member was able to give me a brief tour of the aircraft. It's worth mentioning that all the staff on board were great, and there were a few issues which weren't really their fault, which meant the service was too slow. It was good to talk about the service, and just like my flight on WestJet, I'd encountered teething problems. BA really do care about the A350. A member of their A350 integration team was on board and also dropped by to say hello. A bad seat is pretty much unsavable. However, teething problems with getting food out will always resolve themselves in time. I appreciated the staff going the extra mile for me, and for you, the viewer. They even allowed me a little peek around the corner into their crew rest area here on this A350. The final part of the food service was afternoon tea, a tradition I quite like. BA do it pretty well, although Virgin shade this aspect of the service with their celebrity patissier cakes. Still, BA's efforts were fine, and afternoon tea is a good meal to tide you over. Westbound transatlantic flights extend your day by several hours, and you will need dinner in the evening, so a lighter meal prior to an afternoon landing is perfect. After a brief look at the contents of the amenity kit, it was time for us to approach Toronto Pearson. It was a lovely autumn afternoon and flying conditions were good. So to sum up, you've probably seen my Virgin A350 video on their new upper class, and if you haven't, it'll be linked on the end screen of this video. Which is better? It's hard to say. Virgin's overall ambience with their red, pink and orange cabin and their service panache really appealed to me, but won't be everyone's cup of tea. British Airways are more conservative. Although I've flown them less in 2019, historically I've flown them often, and next year I'll be flying them a lot more. BA's a solid airline with a great route network, and it's their global reach that pays their bills, and which is bringing me back to flying them again. BA's new Club World suite is a good product. Sure, the door's a gimmick, but if it wasn't there it would still be a regular Collins Diamond seat, which is a great all-round business class seat, and, if I'm honest, more likely to last a distance than Virgin's visually impressive, but less sturdily built product.